Hello and welcome, guys, to Cyber Diaries episode number 28, where we peek behind the curtain of what CISO life looks like in a busy fintech organization. And it's a global fintech organization. So we're looking at the week starting 20th of January. And I just want to showcase, guys, a bit about behind the curtain. What do CISOs do? What does my week involve? What we are working on as organization, as myself, as my team, and also I'll take you behind the curtain, the events, and all of the thing that goes being a CISO. So normally on Mondays, we start with our weekly call. So this is a chance for our team to explore what initiatives we're working this week, what we have going on, and what do we need to work, what do we need to prioritize based on competing business priorities, based on times and what we have going on. So where we start a week with that type of call, all of my team members get to showcase what they've been working, what they've been planning to work, where they can add potential benefits to our cyber program. What do we need to improve in the upcoming weeks and months? We use tools like Jira to plan our tasks and look through those priorities and what do we have. Obviously, teams building um, stuff on Confluence page where we can showcase, what we have going on. I think this week's on agenda we discussed about how we're building our cyber awareness training, how we're going to expand that program as we procure the new tools that we're going to use in our program. So it's just about planning. And I think, for me, I always say to the team, you know, cyber awareness is an interesting aspect. I think sometimes, you can create for yourself problems if you trying. I always say, training is not an annual exercise. It's not a way to push, mandatory training once a year and bombard your users with loads of, whether it's videos, whether it's loads of reading material. So we're trying to split our training into sort of bite-sized chunks of material, so that we can drip feed throughout the months to our users and essentially make it relevant, make it tailored to their home lives, making sure that people understand security is very important, and how they can help and be an extension of our security team essentially, and help us deliver that awareness training. We also discussed some of the projects. So we are building and enhancing our application security program and some of the tools that we're onboarding. We just discussed how we can improve our SDLC, so software development life cycle essentially, and how we can bring enhancements in that, and how we can enhance and allow essentially developers to self-serve their security needs and make improvements in that space. So some great initiatives. Guys took on some great tasks and some ideas what we're going to deliver this week and what we could deliver for the next upcoming weeks. If I look at further down the Monday, usually we have with teams we have daily production meetings. So normally just always discussing and reviewing, how production is handling, how our APIs are working, where are the loads and things like that. It's not necessarily geared towards security, but it's just a good way to look at product improvements, looking at software releases and how they're affecting our production. We got a lot of projects going on in our data governance. So we got data governance talks this week as well. So with the team to look at, we're building a lot of AI projects, a lot of AI enhancements. So, we always discuss, I think everyone knows that garbage in, garbage out. It's very prevalent in data. So making sure that you build robust data governance program is imperative in order to build enhancements and and leverage AI in your organization. So we have a discussion this week about how we're going to improve and how we're going to build processes, how we're going to involve the right people in our data governance program, and what do we need to do basically to achieve great data governance. We're talking about these various obviously strength that comes in from that. Insider risk. We're talking about data loss prevention. We're talking about data security. So loads of interesting things. Obviously, always on Mondays as well, we're running our European change board. So we're obviously where we're going to discuss some of the changes coming into this or next week, seeking approvals. Always my team, if they bring in any changes, obviously we're going to walk through the changes that we're building, discuss what do we need to do in terms of approvals, how we're going to test, how we're going to verify that changes have been successful. So it's always a good place to go and see how our product and how our development teams are changing and what they're doing. We have a call with one of our product suppliers in our software development lifecycle that we are onboarding this week as well. So just looking about how we're going to build processes, how we're going to embed that tool in our pipelines, and then obviously we expand in how to train developers, how to build the right products. I think if we're discussing application security posture management, getting the tagging right, assigning the correct teams to right products, it's going to be imperative how we're going to build this platform and how we're going to enhance our framework, how we're going to build out the DevSecOps. Then if we lean into Tuesday, I've got a few interesting calls. So obviously, normally I partner with some vendors and some other companies where I also help them enhance their products. So one of the calls as well, I have to review their product offering and what they're taking to the market. I'm always, I always say, and we've been discussing this a lot. We hear a lot of CISOs how they are unhappy with cybersecurity vendors or how they're doing sales or how they're building their products. How does that not align with our CISO needs? So there always is ask, what are you going to do about it to make sure you make the changes and make improvements? So I always dedicate some time to give feedback to vendors to help them build products that are going to be right for the market, make sure they build the correct go to market strategies, making sure that their tools align to CISO needs and their tools are robust, not only from tools perspective, but from reporting perspective. We also as CISOs always need to show return on investments. We need to be able to showcase why and build the business cases why we need those specific tools and how they're going to help us deliver business goals. So it's always an interesting chat to see how vendors are shaping their tools, and essentially for me to help them answer them. um, I'm also presenting on Financial Service Cybersecurity Leaders Summit at the end of the month. So we just have a catch up call to walk through what the panel is going to include, what topics we're going to discuss. So it's just a preparation for our presentation. So, I'm always eager to share my ideas and participate in various events where either, part of the panel or a part of the presentation. I've got another one coming up at the end of February where I'm going to be a keynote speaker around how CISO should build the right teams. So I'm going to build some slides for that. Again, it's going to be an interesting chat and a conversation to have. We also have on Tuesdays our DevSecOps catch-ups with our DevOps teams. Again, making sure we're aligning our initiatives, making sure we're aligning our projects. We're doing some enhancements in our vulnerability management program. So there is some teething problems that we need to address, and we need to make sure how do we work together. I think the key problem sometimes where I see sometimes security leaders fail is that we can't work in a silo. We can't just create a program and say that's how we're going to do it and make everyone jump. It's about communication. It's about aligning our initiatives together to make sure that whatever we are building, it's feasible, it's usable, it's acceptable, and it's approachable to everyone in the business. So I love these calls and collaborations between the teams, how we can together enhance our DevOps practices, how we can build that framework. Because essentially, it's not only just the way of working; it's a culture shift of how we become agile and react to our needs, whether it's from threat landscape, whether it's from cost savings, improving our cloud posture and things like that. So it's always a great call to chat through some of the tickets that we might potentially have for DevOps teams to address security initiatives, and just to walk through of how we can do things better and how we can improve DevOps practices, and making sure that we bring security in those calls. Tuesday evening goes into boardroom relationships event, which is essentially from battlefield to the boardroom. So again, I mentioned kind of previously, I'm a big proponent of participating and being part of some interesting events. Try to avoid vendor sales pitches and things like that. But I love, some of the vendors who are, create a neutral environment under Chatham House rules where we can discuss with peers, talk about, their battle tactics, talking about, best practices. It's really interesting. It's networking is expanding your, peer network, learning from various other organizations and various other industries how people are approaching their solutions from their perspective. I think and even when I've been talking lately about recruitment and how potentially recruitment practices are might be broken, how some organizations using ATS systems where people can't get through. I know CISOs who've been looking for work for months on end, and they don't seem to be able to get there. And people who have decades of years of experience, if they can't find work, what chances do the rest of us have? But I think this events and expanding your peer network is always helpful, because you never know which person going to open what door. So it's always great to meet, connect, and share ideas with people in sort of neutral environment. If we go into Wednesday, we normally have a catch up with my team members from across the globe as well. I've got team members in Australia, so we always have an early morning call, to adjust to the specific time zones. We have normally Wednesdays as well. We have our tech portfolio review, making sure how we are evolving and expanding our tech. So it's always a good call and an interesting call to see how tech portfolio is shaping, what are we delivering, what's next on agenda, how we're going to improve our products to our client needs, where we can discuss our specific initiatives, specific product launches that are upcoming. And then, I'm doing, again, a few collaborations. I've got a call with Security Sisters on Wednesday. That's another interesting collaboration of with another security group, with, prominent security leaders and security leaders, who are females, who are, always underrepresented. So it's always interesting to see how we can help and shape and bring more female security leaders to the forefront, whether it's presenting, whether it's collaborating, whether it's doing, some interesting initiatives. We also are looking this week to do a call because we want to expand our essentially secret storage solution. So we meeting some vendors to review how we're going to shape and how we're going to onboard those um, secret storage solutions, how we need to update our workloads, and how we're going to improve, because we're looking, potentially moving away from cloud native secret storage, and we want to explore some neutral solutions that are going to be better, allowing us to manage certificates, SSH keys, non-human identities, and things like that. So I think there's an interesting project, and it's kind of been on the backlog for a little while. So hopefully, it's a great way to actually get it finally moving and allow us to make enhancements in that space. So that's another thing for Wednesday. Now we peer into the Thursday. We normally have our solution design reviews on Thursday. So early morning call with the Australian team. So helping and enhancing their solution designs with Australian teams. So we're just looking at some of the enhancements, some of the products that we are delivering for Australian market. We got some big launches coming up in February, so it's a crunch time for us getting the product ready for client integrations and for the launches. So that's going to be an interesting call. We have a number of SSO integration projects ongoing, which we're going to have a catch up on Thursday as well, just to review what we have implemented so far, what's on the agenda, what's outstanding, do we have any blockers. We have a number of applications on the list to build SSO integrations. So it's always an interesting part, an interesting project to see how we're going to shape and move that forward. I think we built a great identity management system. So I think, leveraging our great identity security posture and enhancing and extending that to our applications using SSO is a great way to improve our security. I think, if you've done identity right, there's no point having, numbers of passwords around through all of your SaaS apps. So, the more you can integrate under SSO, even though it's potential risk as you bring everything under one umbrella, but you can mitigate the risk by building, robust, whether it's conditional access policies, making sure that, your identity is protected under MFA, you have correct password policies and things like that. So I think that's an important solution. Then Thursday we're going on. We always have some calls about the projects that we're building in US. So it's a catch up about our projects and where we are with the product build for the US market. All of the business units presents their sort of project management update, where we are at that stage. We also have a fraud call. So we have a great team that built fraud that's wrapped around in our finance application. So we always look in how we can enhance our fraud. Fraud is becoming also our sort of door opener to extra business, because fraud is such prevalent around telco market where we operate. So us being able to help our clients to reduce the fraud to the minimum and help them integrate in our platform is a great way. So we always have, talking about enhancements in our fraud solutions and improvements. And then we have some projects around Europe where we have a catch up as well and reviewing those projects in Europe, what we need to do. We have some, again, as I mentioned, Australia. We have a launches coming up at the end of January, early February in Europe as well. We're launching some big clients. So it's it's an amazing proposition. So the the platform and the product is almost ready. So we're just taking putting the final dots on the I's and making sure that everything is robust. My team's been running penetration tests as a sign off for the solution to be able to go live. My team's also reviewing platforms, and infrastructure from security sign off. So I think it's a great way. I made sure that our security teams are embedded into our project management teams to make sure that we are there right from the initiation to provide our security feedback, security reviews, and make sure the teams understand what is needed from security perspective in order for us to go live with our platform and product. So it's a great day to review that. Oh, I forgot to mention as well. So on Wednesday, I have another interesting event. It's called Cyber and Beat. So again, it's an interesting proposition to get all the cyber folks in a neutral dining setting, um, collaborate, discuss, listen to some beats, have some nice dinner, hopefully meet again some peer CISOs from different organizations, expand my network, share my ideas, my perspective, learn from others. So it's always great to share and learn. And then we go into Friday. So Friday, normally early morning, I've got my physio, just treating my injuries, making sure that I'm good to go in the gym. You know, I'm always big proponent, and I've been talking for it for a while, that, in order to be on top of your game, you need to be healthy, not only mentally, but physically. So, I'm a big proponent of, relieving stress and training, going gym, going for a walk, get your steps in. I think that's an important aspect to, whether it's clear your mind, get some fresh ideas, be on top of your game, because, we in cyber, I think we always handle a lot of pressure. And I think that pressure can sometimes build. So I think gym is an important way to relieve the stress and become essentially healthier, um, by being on top of your game. Then I have an introductions to another company which I'm kind of reviewing and helping to provide feedback for their solution. So as I said before, guys, I'm a big proponent. I like helping cyber vendors, especially smaller companies. That's why I think, from these, another question which normally is being posed to me by CISOs is, how do you get board advisory roles? Well, that's exactly how I do it. I provide feedback and support to some of the smaller vendors in the market, and sometimes these relationships grow into something bigger, whether it's board advisory roles, whether it's some sort of collaboration agreements. But I think there's I built enough networks, I built enough. I'm part of various whether it's alliances, and things like that, where we can help other leaders gain access to the right tools, make sure that the tools meet their needs, and all the things that comes with it. And then ending Friday, we have another solution design review meeting, as I mentioned before. So we have Australian one on Thursday morning, and Friday afternoon we have European and US solution design review meetings again, just reviewing some of the solution designs, how we enhancing our products and platforms. We are building a kind of new product suite, so especially for US market. So again, it's interesting to see what the teams have been up to. I think we are great at experimenting and iterating, and I think in order to create a great experimenting environment, you need to allow people to fail, pivot, and get early feedback. So some of these meetings are a great way to do that, and allow them to experiment and then iterate and build better products. And then Friday, normally it ends with our daily production meeting, just review of what's happening during the weekend, review our infrastructure, make sure that everything is top ready for the weekend, making sure that everything's working as they supposed to be working. So it's always good to review, making sure our API response times are there, making sure that there's no problems in any of the production environments. And then Friday, obviously, Friday evening culmination is the White Hat Ball. It's a great cybersecurity charity event. It's a ball, essentially black tie event, which I'm going to be honored to participate and be on one of the tables. It's for the great cause. It's for an SPCC charity. So hopefully we're going to be able to donate and get some amazing funds for amazing charity. Part of the event is always a cyber house party. So again, it's another great cause where I didn't even know before. There's some great CISOs who are always happy to jump and spin some decks and do some DJing. So it's always a fun an evening, an event. So really looking forward to that. And that's pretty much my week in review, guys. Um, hopefully you guys love these, and peeking sort of behind the curtain what a CISO does and what CISO work does involve. Obviously I work in financial services, and it's good to give sort of the insight of what's going on. I think sometimes, especially when you are early in your career, it's hard to picture how and what does CISO do and how does it involve. Sometimes it looks like we just a front or a face, but I'm kind of fairly technical guy, and I've been around the industry for a number of years. Building within security operation centers, being involved in cloud security engineering, building DevSecOps frameworks, doing a bit of pen testing, and things like that. So hopefully you guys love these. I would love to hear your feedback, comments, anything else you wanted to explore and touch on my Cyber Diaries podcast. But please, please guys, like, share, subscribe. I would love to hear how you want me to iterate and improve these sessions, and what you loved and what you didn't like about these podcasts. But yeah, stay tuned, guys, and I'll see you next week.